Good evening, friend. The night has made its quiet turn, a time for stories gently learned, for whispered words and softened sound that drift where deeper meaning's found, where history meets imagination and tender dreams hold lasting meaning. So settle in, let worries lower, and listen close, for words hold power. I'm A.K. White, and this is The Velvet Hour. Come close tonight, and let the lamplight hold you. The blanket's warm, the rain is soft, there's nothing left the dark can do. We're heading somewhere old tonight, a coast where cliffs lean steep, to find a woman time forgot, whose story runs bone deep. She's sitting by a window now, a letter freshly read, the fire low, the evening long, the truth still warm as bread. Though the words arrived just hours ago, they tell her nothing new. Along the Dorset shore, the cliffs crumble soft and grey, and every winter storm pulls free what the earth had tucked away. The harbour smells of salt and chalk, the gulls call low and strange, as if they've always known this place holds things beyond their range. If you pressed your ear against the rock, you'd swear you heard it told, a whisper longer than the hills, patient, deep and old, of creatures folded into stone and sealed beneath the cold. A woman lives above a shop that faces toward the strand. Her shelves hold jawbones, spiraled shells, and riddles carved in sand. Her fingers carry 30 years of chalk dust, clay and rain. She turns the letter in the light and lets her thoughts pull back through all the winters, all the tides, along a well-worn track, to when her boots were far too large, her coat too thin by half, and all she owned was stubbornness and a hammer on her behalf. Her father was the one who taught her how to read the clay, to spot the buried curve of shell where the lyres met the grey, and free it with a careful tap, more like a prayer than force, a conversation held with stone along its quiet course. They sold their treasures by the sea, ammonites and fern, devil's fingers, verteberries, small curiosities to earn a shilling from the visitors who'd hold the stone, then smile and carry home a piece of time they'd keep a little while. Her father died when she was young, and winter came too soon. The cupboard emptied, candles dimmed, the sky an iron moon. But still the girl went out at dawn, her hammer at her side, as though the cliff had called her name, and she could not deny the tide. And after one tremendous storm that split the rock apart, she knelt beside a broken ledge and felt her hammering heart. For something vast was sleeping there, a jaw, a spine, an eye, a thing from long before the hills that no one else had found nearby. She worked for months to free the bones, the rain across her shoulders, the cliff above her groaning low beneath its weight of boulders. The tide allowed her only hours before the water came, but every morning she returned and did the self-same. 17 feet of jaw and spine, assembled stone by stone, until the skeleton lay whole beneath the grey alone. The first of its strange kind to see the modern light of day, pulled free by hands still young enough to tremble while they prayed. She was barely more than just a child who'd worked through mud and frost, and offered to the learned world a thing it never knew was lost. A window onto deeper time, a reckoning vast and strange, that made the age of everything seem suddenly within her range. And then the gentlemen arrived in coats of pressed lapel, with Latin on their tongues and ink and papers they could sell. They carried her discovery to lecture halls and fame, and when they wrote of what she'd found, they never used her name. This was the shape her years would take, She dug, and others claimed. She worked through rain and falling chalk, while gentlemen were named in journals she would never hold, in rooms she'd never see. There were winters she considered stopping, when the money disappeared, when the ledge gave way beneath her feet, when everything she feared pressed close. The silence, the forgetting, the slow closing of the door. She'd sit beside the fire and wonder what the digging had been for. But every morning she went back, not only out of need, though need was real and always near, a stubborn mouth to feed, but something in the stone still called, in vowels old and low, a language only patience learns, a rhythm she would know. She found a creature with a neck so long it bent belief, built for ancient vanished seas beyond the coral reef. She found a shadow pressed in shale with wings of chalk and bone, a flying thing from deeper time, preserved and turned to stone. Each fossil was a quiet page the earth had tried to write, a sentence pressed in ancient rock and waiting for the light. And she, of all the people living, heard the music in the grain, when all the world heard nothing but the wind and Dorset rain. The years had gathered, strata deep, each one a layered mark, a chapter pressed in limestone like a thumbprint in the dark. And slowly now the world had turned, though it would never quite confess the woman in that cliffside shop had given it no less than everything she had. Scientists had crossed the sea to stand inside her door. A king had put his questions to her no professor asked before. And though the published pages still bore other people's names, every careful mind in Europe knew from whom the knowledge came. And now, this evening, by the fire, the letter rests beside the light. Her name is written clearly there, acknowledged, real, and right. The Geological Society, in careful, formal hand, has finally named what she has known since first she touched the land. Her name is Mary, Mary Anning. And she changed the way we see the bones beneath the surface and the depth of history. Not through fortune, title, fame, but with a hammer and her hands, and a faith the stone would answer those who chose to understand. She never left that little town. She never had the need. The cliffs of lime were chapel, classroom, laboratory, creed. The only place she'd ever need to do her quiet work. A cathedral made of rainfall, chalk, and Jurassic murk. And in the years that followed, a children's rhyme would keep a shadow of her rhythm. She sells seashells, soft and sweet. But few who sang it ever knew they carried on their tongue the echo of a woman whose true story went unsung. So, tonight, if you are listening past the hush of falling rain, you might hear the tide come in along that Dorset lane, the faintest tap of hammer meeting stone along the shore, a sound like someone whispering, "There's still a little more." And somewhere, in a lamplit room above the grey-green strand, a woman folds the letter shut and holds it in her hand. Not because the words surprised her, but because the cliffs, you see, had always told her first what the world was slow to see. There are people who change everything and never make a sound, who work in quiet, work through rain, and give before they're found. What they leave behind them speaks louder than the hush that wrapped around their living years and tried to make them rush. You carry that same patience, friend, as steady as the tide, a faith that what you're building now, though no one sees inside, is sinking roots in deeper stone where only time can reach. And one day it will surface like a fossil on the beach. So rest your head now, gently. Let the cliffs grow dark and still. Let the tide pull slowly back beyond the harbour hill and smooth the shore of every mark and wash away the day. There's nothing left to find tonight. The stone will keep it safe. Will hold its secrets patient. Will guard them in its place. Until you're ready, once again, to kneel and listen close, and hear the ancient music that the smallest fossil knows. And now the story finds its end. May its comfort be your friend. Carry kindness as you sleep, and let its gentle wisdom keep. Until next time, good night.